Hello, it's Shawnee. Welcome back. Guess what time it is? It is time for our weekly roundup, where I go over all of the eyeshadow palettes I've used over the past week and I rank them from least liked to most liked. Now, typically I'm kind of focusing on the look and sometimes whether or not I like the palette and I'm gonna keep it. So this week there are 8 slots, but also remember this past week I talked about the new light work from Danessa Myricks. So work with me here as I try to figure out a way to rank that because I did quite a few looks, but let's go ahead and jump in. At number 8, I have the Viseart Mixette Étendue palette. This was a very simple look. This is a super neutral palette, and I often talk about Viseart shimmers. I feel like are just, for folks who work in an office, I feel like Viseart is really good. But also, I've mentioned before, Viseart is like expensive. Yeah, so you don't need them at all. You don't need their palettes. I do enjoy their palettes though, and I'm glad that I have them, but y'all, you don't need to spend all that money on these little palettes, okay? I will say that there's a lot of product that comes in there. I have not hit pan on any Viseart palette ever and I use them pretty consistently, and I do hit pan on shadows, so I think it's saying something that I haven't with these, girl. But that was number 8 because it was just a really simple blah look. There wasn't anything special about it. I was just working because I'm always working. At number 7 is the Huda Beauty Rich Nude, or Nude Rich. This is a palette that I repurchased. I actually panned, I think, the whole thing, if not all but 2 shades in when I had it before. This is one of my favorite palettes that just gives me a nice simple look. Again, it's tones that I really enjoy, these like mauve, pink tones, and this is one that I'm like, I wear it for work. I wear everything for work, okay? But I used this when I was in the office one day this week. I really like this palette, and I think I want to leave it in my desk at work, but I don't want it to be away from me. So I gotta figure it out. But this is one that I really enjoy, and I'm really glad that I repurchased it. Like, I recently repurchased it because I was like, oh, I miss having that little palette. So this is at number 7. It was another simple, easy look with a couple of shades for the office. Now, at number 6, yes, Sharon, it's the groundwork. It's the Danessa Myricks groundwork, and I've always got to throw a very like natural kind of neutral look in there. Now, what was different this time? I typically pair the look with a red lip, but I was like super toned down this day. I'm trying to figure out why. It could be I've had folks with some like significant distress lately, and so I've just been trying to do things that are just like, let me get some makeup on my face and just, you know, be present. So this day I think I had a nude lip on with the simple groundwork look that I always do. Just some of these shades here in the middle and some mascara and moving about my business. But yeah, this is just, is this crooked? Let me fix that. How dare you? So this is just like my favorite palette to use. It's an everyday palette for me. I think I talked about it in the video I did where I'm just talking about my favorite neutral palettes. this is a fave for me. I will say that it's not a palette for everyone because there is this sort of like putty texture that you really do have to get used to, and you have to spend a little bit of time with that, but I love it. I like it a lot. I love it a lot. So along with that putty sort of texture, you have the matte, and I know a lot of people are like, why is the matte like so small? But the deal, I think, is to put the putty on and then use the matte shade to like set it. And I've said before, once I started doing that rather than just using the putty or the like velvety matte separately, once I started using the matte to set everything, I do feel like the shadow stayed a bit more, because I think some of the textures that my cousin Danessa uses, some of them will crease. I mean, I think, not even I think, you're supposed to use just the tiniest bit of product from Danessa Myricks, so you can easily do too much and have not fun results. But I do find, and since this is like a putty, you know, it's gonna move around on your eyes and eyelids, but putting the powder on top really does seem to extend the longevity. So that was number 6. Now at number 5 through 3 are all looks from Danessa's new Lightwork palette, volume 6. It's the Freedom palette. I did, I think, like 2 videos on it, so you definitely want to check those out. So I go over everything. I do swatches. I take it all apart. I do the stacks, all the stuff. But the look that is at number 5, this was just super simple, right? I do love that you can get a super simple look from this palette, because all these colors and things, I can imagine some people feeling a bit intimidated by it, but they're all like multi-chrome, so whenever you put it on your eye, it's gonna give you a little bit of zhuzh without having to do too much. The look I did for this one, simple, just threw a shade on, and used one of the silky mattes to do a wing, and I was good to go. Now that was the 5th one. The 4th one, yeah, the 4th one was like a pinky look. It had a bit more pink shimmer going on. I love a pink. This, again, was super just straightforward and simple. I'm forgetting who said this, so remind me in the comments. Well, there were a couple of people, but one person talked about these shades seeming like they have less like pigment or like less boom pow than some of her other palettes. And I would agree, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. With some of her other like Lightworks, like I have number 3 right here. When I opened this, I was like, whoa, look at those shades, you know? And for this one, I'm more like, those are so pretty, you know? And I think there's a more cohesive color story. I mean, until you put them on your eye because they're multi-chrome. But I think this seems more approachable than maybe some of her other Lightworks. So if you're like tiptoeing into Danessa Myricks, this could be a good option. I mean, also the packaging is great. I think this will probably be something that professional makeup artists really like. I'm not a professional makeup artist, but I like it. So yeah, number 4 was the pink-y look. Now number 3 was like a bluish green look. And I'm getting back into the blues and the greens. I felt like I was on that train for a while, and I was like, oh, I'm actually loving greens and I'm loving blues. And then I popped right back off and went to the neutrals and the pinky mauves. But quite a few people were like, I love the green. And I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. I kind of like it. The blue and the green. And so I'm going to try to make it a point to use those shades more. And number 2 was the look I did that had more of a green blue punch to it, and I really enjoyed that one. I just sat down to play with some makeup, and what I also like about this palette is that you can use your fingers to apply things. They kind of encourage using the finger more than the brush, but I've found that I can still get good payoff with the brush, and I will use my finger any day, anytime. That sounds super dirty, and you know, I kind of mean it that way, but I think that no matter your like level of, you know, some people just want to throw something on with their fingers. Some people want to do something more intricate with brushes and stuff. Either way, you're going to be able to use this palette fairly easily. Are you surprised that it's not number one? It's not number one. Number one surprises me also. Where'd I put it? Oh, number one. I still have to give honor to the dame mother, Patricia McGrath. I mean, her old stuff, her old motherships are just, they're still so amazing. Like, I know she gets a lot of flack now because people are like, what the hell is going on with her brand? But she ain't even really part of the brand no more. Anyway, I use the palette that I think a lot of people aren't a fan of, and it is the Midnight Sun palette. Now, I did something super easy with this, but for some reason I felt like it looked really good on my eyes. Like, I was like, oh, look at that, my eyes are kind of pretty. So I don't know, I think it's the shade. It was this like purpley shade here. I mainly just used that one and didn't do too much else. So I don't know, I really liked it. I felt like I looked pretty. Yeah. So I don't know, that was my favorite one of the week, and I love that I'm honestly being more purposeful in using my motherships rather than just keeping them in the corner as, like, you know, just these artifacts that shouldn't be touched. But yeah, that's about it, girl, because I have to go take a shower and get ready for yoga. One thing I did want to mention, has anyone used the Huda Beauty powder, her setting powder? I got the mini, and I got it in Kunafa, yeah. The Baby Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. There is a scent to this, which I didn't expect because I thought she took the scent out of her powders, but I'm wondering if it's still in the mini or the baby, but not in the larger one. So let me know your experience. I know Dawn really likes it. I know Tracy has liked it. I don't know yet, and I be liking stuff that Dawn and Tracy like. I used it today, and it's okay. I don't know. I think the scent is really throwing me off because I wasn't expecting it. It's not overpowering. Like, also, I don't smell it on my face right now, but I was like, oh, I didn't know I had a scent. Anyways, I hope that some of this was helpful, and I also hope that you are continuing to take care of yourself. Let me know what you've used this week or what you plan to use this coming week. Or how about you let me know what you used last week and then what you're going to use this week. There's a palette I want to make sure I use. I feel like I haven't given it enough love lately. And I'll probably try to throw in some singles. I have a crazy busy week this week, so we'll see. Anyways, I would love it if you like the video, and I would love it even more if you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.